It's March 2026, a single strike, 12 minutes of flight time, and the world holds its breath. In less than an hour, the United States and Iran will be at war, not the shadow war of assassinations and proxy conflicts that defined the decades before. A real war, with missiles, with warships, with fire over the Persian Gulf. But here's what almost nobody tells you. This war didn't start in March. It started years earlier, in a series of decisions, provocations, and near misses that the world somehow survived until it didn't. Stay with us. Because the story of how we got here is more shocking than the war itself. To understand 2026, you have to go back to the nuclear deal, the broken promises, and the slow-burning fury on both sides. For more than a decade, the Strait of Hormuz, that narrow critical choke point between the Persian Gulf and the open ocean, had been the most dangerous 21 miles of water on Earth. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through it every single day. Iran knew it, America knew it, and both sides had drawn lines they swore they would never let the other cross. Did you know, at its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is only 21 miles wide. Iranian shore-based missile batteries can cover the entire width. A single volley could cripple global oil markets within hours. After the collapse of the 2015 nuclear agreement and years of escalating sanctions, cyber attacks, and regional proxy conflicts, Iran had quietly accelerated its uranium enrichment program. By late 2025, Western intelligence agencies were not debating whether Iran had the capability to build a nuclear weapon. They were debating how many weeks it would take. In Washington, that was not an acceptable answer. And then, on a cold Tuesday morning in October 2025, something happened that changed everything. A U.S. surveillance drone, a high-altitude RQ-4 Global Hawk, is shot down over the Persian Gulf. Iran claims it was in Iranian airspace. The United States insists it was in international waters. The argument is familiar, the world has been here before, but this time there's a second story running underneath. And this is where it gets complicated, because the drone was not the real trigger. 3 days later, an Israeli airstrike hits a convoy in Syria. Iran blames the United States for providing targeting intelligence. Tensions spike. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq launch rockets at a base housing American advisors. 2 are killed, 17 are wounded. In the Oval Office, the pressure is immense. Walking away again looks weak. Military options are on the table. What would you have done? Stand down or respond? Because the men in that room knew that whatever they chose, it would echo for decades. The decision made is a calibrated strike, a carefully worded phrase that means hitting an Iranian Revolutionary Guard logistics hub on Iraqi soil. The attack is precise, the message is clear, but Iran's supreme leadership does not read it as precision, they read it as escalation. Did you know Iran's missile arsenal includes over 3,000 ballistic and cruise missiles, the largest in the Middle East? Some have a range of more than 2,000 kilometers, putting American bases across the region well within reach. For 2 weeks in November 2025, the world teeters. Diplomatic back channels are working overtime. The UN Security Council convenes an emergency session. Oil prices spike 40% in a single week, and then, just when it seems like diplomacy might pull everyone back from the edge, a U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Carter Hall, is operating in the northern Persian Gulf. An Iranian fast attack boat swarm, a tactic Iran has practiced for 30 years, closes on the ship at high speed. Warning shots are fired. Radio contact is made. The Iranians do not turn back. The Carter Hall fires in self-defense. 2 Iranian vessels are sunk. 11 sailors are killed. In Tehran, that is not a skirmish. That is a massacre, and the supreme leader says so, publicly, and in terms that leave no room for diplomatic interpretation. But here's what you need to understand, and this is the part that should keep you up at night. It's 2:17 a.m. local time, March 14th, 2026. Iranian ballistic missiles, Shahab-3 and Fateh-110 variants, launch simultaneously from 3 separate locations. Their targets the U.S. Air Force Base at Al Udeid in Qatar, the U.S. Naval Base at Bahrain, and a carrier strike group operating south of the Strait of Hormuz. The USS Abraham Lincoln, 5,000 sailors aboard, has roughly 11 minutes before impact. American THAAD and Patriot missile defense batteries go active instantly. Intercepts are fired. The sky over the Gulf becomes a battlefield of streaking contrails and mid-air detonations. Most of the Iranian missiles are shot down, not all of them. At Al Udeid, 2 missiles breach the defensive layer. The runway is hit. A fuel depot detonates. The fireball is visible from 40 miles away. 13 American service members are killed in the first 8 minutes of what will later be called the Persian Gulf War of 2026. Did you know? THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, can intercept ballistic missiles in their final descent phase, but it has a finite number of interceptors per battery. A mass saturation attack is specifically designed to overwhelm it. The President of the United States is woken at 2:24 a.m. By 3 a.m., a retaliatory strike package is already airborne. At that moment, with 13 Americans dead and missiles still being tracked, what would the right call have been? Retaliate, hold, and who gets to decide how far it goes? U.S. Air Force B, two Spirit stealth bombers, flying from Diego Garcia, begin their approach to targets deep inside Iran. Simultaneously, Tomahawk cruise missiles launch from 6 destroyers and 2 submarines positioned across the Gulf. The targets: Iranian air defense infrastructure, the Fordow nuclear enrichment facility buried under a mountain, and the headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force, the organization that ordered the missile strike. The strikes are devastating. They are also a declaration. By sunrise on March 14th, 2026, the United States and Iran are formally at war. The immediate aftermath is chaos: economic, military, and diplomatic. Oil prices hit $230 per barrel within 48 hours. Global stock markets shed trillions in combined value. The Strait of Hormuz is functionally closed as Iran mines the shipping lanes and positions anti-ship missile batteries along its coastline. Russia and China issue joint statements condemning the American strikes, though notably, they do nothing to intervene. Iran's conventional military is badly degraded in the opening weeks. Its nuclear program is set back by years, but the country is not defeated, not even close. Because Iran doesn't need to win on a conventional battlefield. It needs to bleed the United States. Through proxies, through asymmetric attacks, through the patient, grinding, generational warfare that the Islamic Republic has practiced since 1979. Did you know? Hezbollah, Iran's primary proxy force in Lebanon, is estimated to have over 150,000 rockets and missiles aimed at Israel. A regional war involving Iran almost certainly pulls Israel into direct conflict within days. Here's the question historians will wrestle with for decades. Was this war inevitable? Or was there a single moment, a decision, a phone call, a gesture that could have stopped it? The human cost in those first 30 days is staggering. Thousands of military casualties on both sides, civilian deaths in the hundreds. Hundreds of thousands of displaced persons across the Gulf region, and the world that watched it all coming, that saw the warnings and the skirmishes and the near misses, stares at the wreckage and asks the oldest question in the history of war: how did it come to this? But the opening missile exchange. That's only the beginning of the story, because within 72 hours of the first American strikes, something unexpected happens. Something the Pentagon war-gamed but desperately hoped would never occur. Iran activates its proxy network across 7 countries simultaneously. The Houthis in Yemen begin targeting Saudi oil infrastructure. Hezbollah launches its largest rocket barrage in history toward northern Israel. Iraqi militias seal off the roads to the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. And somewhere in a location that even now remains classified, a signal is transmitted, a signal that tells a sleeper network that has been waiting patiently for years that it is time. What happens next changes the entire course of the conflict, and almost nobody saw it coming. In the next video, we go inside the proxy war, the hidden shadow battlefield that Iran built over 40 years, specifically for this moment. The battlefield where the real war is fought. If you thought the missile strikes were shocking, you have no idea what comes next.